Silent Hill 2 isn't a horror game. It's actually the best character study about a dude named James Sunderland disguised as a horror game. People tend to say that the gameplay of Silent Hill 2 is kind of meh. I deeply disagree. Sure, the combat is a bit stiff, but you play as a regular person. James is an office clerk. What did you expect? But that's not the main focus of this video. I want to highlight, in my opinion, one of the greatest gameplay mechanics ever in a video game. There is a hidden point system. Depending on your gameplay throughout the game, you will change James as a character, and the ending will change depending on who James becomes. If you play the game with low health, the game adds a point to the in-water ending, because in that ending, James commits suicide, and having low health through gameplay means James doesn't care about his health or well-being. How about spending time with Maria? If you choose to stay by her side and keep her safe, this adds a hidden point to the Maria ending. It's not just with actions, but acquiring and looking at items plays a factor too. Angela's knife. If you inspect it, it adds a point to the in-water ending, since Angela talks about suicide while holding it. But if you don't inspect it, it adds a point to the leave ending, since James doesn't want to commit suicide and wants to live. My personal favourite is the hallway conversation. It tells you what type of person James is if he listens to it or not. If you do, it adds a point to both leave and in water. This is because in the conversation it tells us that Mary hated and loved James. It reminded James that he loves Mary, but Mary also hurt him really bad. The game recognizes that James still has thoughts about Mary, the player too. However, if you choose to outright refuse to listen to the conversation, this adds a point to the Maria ending, because James doesn't have thoughts about Mary. It's like he doesn't even care about her, doesn't need her, since he has Maria. It's quite telling if a player doesn't listen to the conversation, since it tells the game that they don't have Mary in their thoughts. It's like they're choosing to ignore her. They don't want to think about her. The reason why I say this is my personal favourite, because in a game where dialogue is so important and so powerful, a simple decision of listening to a conversation in a hallway, or skipping it, tells you so much about what James is thinking and who he has become, but it also tells you a lot about the player. It's such a simple but powerful moment that has a lot of weight to it. I love it. This is all done through gameplay. It's amazing. This ties back to what I said about Silent Hill 2 being a character study and not a horror game. Video games is an interactive medium. Team Silent took full advantage of that. By making this mechanic a hidden one, it doesn't take you out of the game. It's immersive. Your actions through gameplay changes James's personality, and it affects the ending. Most video games have a pick an option, which not only does it break the immersive experience, but most players will choose the more good option. Not with Silent Hill 2. The different endings can be interpreted in many ways by the player, but if there was some kind of morality linked to them, then it defeats the purpose of the character study. A lot of people deem the leave ending to be a happy one, but we don't really know if James does have a happy end. Alternatively, there are the cool kids such as myself who deem the in-water ending to be the canon ending. Even though James commits suicide in that ending, it explored a character who couldn't live on without his wife. We as players choose our canon ending because the game is in a grey area. Quite literally. There's fog everywhere. However, if you were to include a pick an option moments in Silent Hill 2, these endings, these character moments, they wouldn't be as impactful. You have the genius hidden point system to thank, because it made the Silent Hill 2 experience so powerful. Incredibly powerful. And it's only a gameplay thing. This can only work on a video game. This wouldn't work as a movie. This wouldn't work as a book. This wouldn't work as a comic. This wouldn't work as a TV series. Silent Hill 2 was born to be a video game. It's quite sad how many video games don't learn from Silent Hill 2. The game is from 2001. It's over 20 years old, but it's so beautiful. It is a masterpiece. It is a perfect game. I love Silent Hill 2.